All right, we are back for a take two, because you know what happens when technology fails. You turn it off, turn it back on, and magically it works. So, with perfect audio, or so we hope, is Brandon Kreutz.
Hi, can everybody hear me? I swear I could talk.
Yeah, we got to get our audience back now, but again, since this is going to be a brand new stream, we will give you the intro from the start. This is kind of we'll call it the Racer's Mind. It's a video to kind of enlighten everybody towards our opinions on things that are pertinent in iRacing, things that are pertinent in sim racing, and real-world racing for that matter. So we got a couple topics in mind of things that we would like to discuss our opinion on, and for those who happen to watch, you can let your opinion be known, and we will do our best to kind of give our feedback towards whatever topics come about.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, I think this will be a good thing, and, you know, me and Corey kind of take everyone through and discuss our opinions on things.
Yep, so the first topic that we had in mind for the last attempted stream at this was we talked about a big event in iRacing a couple weeks ago. It was the 12 Hours of Sebring. It is a yearly event, kind of on the same realm as 24 Hours of Daytona, 24 Hours of Le Mans, Nürburgring, Spa, all that kind of stuff. We had racers who practiced for months, working on setups, building teams, getting schedules sorted, whether it's missing work, telling your wife you can't go out this week, or what have you. I joined the race, and I am in my team. I'm ready for a driver swap. My sim crashes. And all that practice, I'm now laps behind. If I'm even able to get back in the car, I'm laps behind. There's also been situations where people have said that this was a known bug. This was something that iRacing actually knew about 2 days before. But they said, we'll fix it next week. So what is your take on that as a sim racer? as a fan, as a broadcast? How do we look at what happened in that event?
I mean, that's tough. iRacing, unfortunately, the whole "I'll get to it next week" thing. Maybe we don't really know the reasoning behind it. Maybe they were working on something else. Maybe they were right in the middle of something that they really had to get done. Maybe they were trying to fix something else at the moment. That's really tough. But a big event like that, a lot of people take time off to go and do that event, like you said, Corey, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work out. People kind of just left in the dust. I really think it should have been a bigger concern than what iRacing took it as. And don't get me wrong, they do a really, really good job with everything, but I really think it should have been more up here on the priority list.
Because, and I mean, Brady, you know me, as a lot of the world does. We've been around, we've been kind of meeting a lot of new people with our broadcasting. I don't have a lot of free time. So if I was someone who was going to join that race and I only had, let's say, 6 hours I could race, maybe 4 even, and I join that race and it's my turn to get in the car and I get booted out of the car because of a known glitch. I have been on iRacing since 2009. I was one of the, actually 2008. I was in before it even went open. So I've seen the sim, I've seen it change, I've seen it grow, I've seen it evolve, and I've always been a defender. But, and a lot of people have said this, we always back iRacing, but you have to admit it is really hard to keep defending stuff when every big hyped event, every big hyped thing lately, it's almost you're rolling the die. Is it actually going to work? And it's hard to defend that.
Yeah, there has to be a time when the company is in the wrong. And, I think when it comes to these big events, obviously they've made aware that something happens every time during these big events. Something, always happens to sim crashes. People can't get in. People keep getting booted out. Every time there's a big event like this, something I think really has to be done. And I think, they've got to be aware of it. There's no way that they're not aware of it. It's one of those things.
And it's not a thing where I don't think they're being lazy. I don't think they're sitting there in the office saying, whatever. It's just, we spend a lot of money. I mean, we could go out there and go and spend $60 on Project Cars 2. And yeah, we could buy the DLC, we could buy the 12-pack of Ferraris, we could buy the new track, yada, yada, yada. But for the most part, it's a $60 investment. There's going to be patches. Am I saying it's the same thing? No. Am I saying it is as good? No. But it's a comparable thing, and it's a one-time investment. I'm not complaining about iRacing's pricing. I spend less than $100 a year, maybe $200 on a really big content year. I'm not complaining at all about that. But that does not mean that this is cheap. So when you're spending a premium to get something that isn't reliable, I mean, how do you swallow that? How do you justify that to a friend who's like, oh, what's that thing that you do? You spend that much money on it? How do you justify that?
Yeah, especially when they get on the service and it doesn't work like it's advertised. And that's definitely something huge that iRacing has to take into account of. The new customers coming in, they've advertised this as one of the best, if not the best, racing simulator on the market today. And yeah, it's a lot of money, but they say it's worth it when you come in. And, personal opinion, yes, I think every penny of this is worth it. But when it doesn't work like it's advertised to, and people try to jump into these big races when they've been practicing for months upon months, it's, it's tough. And it definitely puts a bad rap on iRacing.
So kind of taking a little bit of a light off of that, we don't want to completely bash iRacing. Obviously, it's something that we do on the daily. We're covering races, and when we're not covering races, and we have a lot of fun with what we do. I love this broadcast company. Brandon started it, what was it, late 2016,
Yep.
Took off 2017. I kind of came on board and kind of took it more on my shoulders, and we have a really good thing going. And I love iRacing. When we're not racing, well, we're not broadcasting, we're racing, whether it's leagues, whether it's official, whether it's just kind of having some fun doing some weird combos. So I do really enjoy the sim, but I'm not going to lie, I'm having trouble sticking on iRacing's side. But again, I'm still here, right? So
Yeah.
they got more of my money. They're going to get more of my money in a couple of months when X, Y, and Z comes out, and I'm going to spend my subscription. I'm going to lie and tell the wife it cost half the price. Hopefully she's not watching. I love you, honey. But, all right. So that's that. And what's next on our agenda?
How about some of the latest updates from iRacing? Some of the latest news from iRacing. Something fairly new that some of you dirt fanatics will be really happy about. Actually, starting tonight, the Sprint Car Series have already kicked off. But World of Outlaws, obviously a huge partner with iRacing now for the dirt side of things, and World Racing Group, they've created a kind of a pro series for the dirt late models here and the dirt sprint cars. The sprint cars just already kicked off at 8:30, so they just went up. And the late models go up at 9:30 tonight. It's kind of the NASCAR has the Road to Pro with the trucks, and this is basically the same thing. They'll be running the same cars throughout. Obviously the 410 sprint cars and the super late models. It's kind of a stepping stone, trying to set a group aside to get into the next higher up level of the chain. So we know NASCAR goes Road to Pro to Peak Antifree Series. This will go Qualifying Series to whatever the next one is, the Pro Series, and then the Pro World Championship Series. So that's something new. Corey, what's your take on that whole thing?
Yeah, it's good that obviously we are getting more and more series, more disciplines of racing, so they all should be treated the same. Obviously, we all know about Peak Antifree Series. We know about the insert new sponsor here, Virtual Racing School iRacing Grand Prix Series, and they're paying $10,000 out to the winners and well-renowned, especially NASCAR. I mean, you're getting flight all the way to Homestead, and you're getting trophy and world recognition on a NASCAR stage. I mean, that's phenomenal. I don't know how much or what the Formula One championship style one gets, but it's good to know that dirt is not easy. I'm pretty good. I like to say I'm not average, but I think a little above average. But I mean, I could wheel a dirt car for 2 laps. I could not do it against the cushion for 50 laps, making passes, keeping it off the wall, doing everything that needs to be done. So those drivers, they deserve their spot in the limelight, so I'm glad that they opened that up for those guys. Not to mention the GRC guys, which, again, on that same vein, I can run a GRC race for 1 lap, and I'm in the tire bundles, and those guys can do it just like the real ones in the real world can do, and they can do it just as good. And again, every driver deserves their opportunity to shine on the service, so it's a good thing that they are opening those doors up.
Yeah, not to mention at the top level, they'll be competing for $10,000 as well, which is huge for a simulator. And speaking of Rallycross, the Rallycross qualifying series kicks off on the 22nd of this month, so that's not too far away either, and that goes through the same process, and I'm sure it'll just be just as much money for the championship.
Yeah, so that is indeed another good thing, but takes us to our next topic of not so much of a segue, but to bring up our next topic of broadcasting. And obviously, I mean, we're a broadcast channel, everyone knows that. So, but there's been a lot of discussion, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of instigated some of it, and I started a post of it on the forum. I saw it on Facebook. There was somebody who put up a post about the cost of broadcasting, and they asked for 30 broadcasts, 15 broadcasts for $20. And I'm not gonna lie, I LMAO'd. And I kind of opened my mouth a little more than I should have. I mean, we're all human. You take the politically correct hat off sometimes. You can't help it. And it started a lot of debate on, well, why does broadcasting cost what it costs? And I don't want to get into that in fully today. There's going to be a podcast that I'm going to be on with Rutgers Kev. I'm going to be on the Rutgers Kev show, and that is going to be a topic there, but I do want to get into it lightly here amongst a couple other topics on that. Brandon, what would you say if I offered you to cover a broadcast for $1.50?
They'd be out of their minds. In my personal opinion, at least, you know, everybody has a different opinion on this. For me, I'd like to make some sort of profit from all the hard work that I put in, and I spend that profit to improve what we already have. You know, or what I already have, I spent, you know, my profits from a couple months ago on new headset for, you know, audio quality, and obviously came with a new microphone, a lot better than what I had before. I had a really cheap one before sitting next to me somewhere. You know, it all comes, you know, if you want to improve the channel or the company, you have to have some sort of profit to back things up.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not so much, there's very many ways to answer this question. I don't want to be on this topic for 2 hours because, like I said, I'll probably be doing that on the podcast. But time is of essence. Product is of essence. There are components to broadcasting that is not cheap. I mean, if you don't know how to make your own overlays, a couple $100 easy. You have to have a PC to build it that you could race quite happily on your current PC, but you can go try to broadcast on it and you'll be chugging and it'll be stuttering and you'll be on mid to low graphics and it might not be able to handle the load to bring a high quality 1080p 60 stream, which is what everyone wants these days. So you're going to have to do hardware investments. You're going to need to run iRacing for internet. You can run iRacing on almost dial-up. It doesn't take much internet. It just needs a solid connection. To stream, you're going to need to be well over almost 10 megabytes of consistent upload speed. Not just peaks at it. You have to have solid internet, so you may need to invest that. Then I could go on and on. There's a lot of medial cost, but then it comes to time. If you're asking someone to spend 2+ hours, especially as a producer, if you're asking someone to spend 2+ hours of their time, why would you ask them to do that for free? Essentially. If they really, really, really like doing it, go for it. But for most of us, our time is valued, and I'm sorry, as much as I love iRacing and I love racing, and I like broadcasting, I'm not going to spend 2 to 3 hours of my time that I could be watching TV, I could be going to sleep on time, I could be doing my own race to sit and do something as a service to you. That's ultimately how I look at it.
Yeah, absolutely, and I 100% agree with you. And, you know, obviously, you've become a huge part of this channel with broadcasting and everything, Corey, and that from that perspective, that's, you know, and again, like I said before, everybody has their own opinion on it, but I completely agree with you.
Yeah, it's just, we spend time, obviously we're doing the races. I mean, we've had weeks that we were over 6 broadcasts. We had weeks that we were, I mean, I think there was one week I may have done, I think we've done 6 at the most, but it's not just doing a broadcast. You're sending emails out, you're getting messages, hey, here's my new logos, hey, can you pick up this? Oh, hey, we have a league on Tuesdays, can you do this? Hey, well, what about this? Blah, blah, blah. Can I pay you this day? Can I pay, is this paid for? What's my price on that? Like, it's literally, my wife will tell me, well, you put your phone away because all you're doing is sending these, all you're doing is doing stuff for this channel, and we're not getting rich off of it. People seem to think, well, you charge $30 when RaceSpot charges $100. They're just, no, I'm not going to get into the finances of other channels. I mean, that's not my business, but nobody's getting rich off of this. We do it because we like it, but it does, when it gets to a certain point, it turns into a business. So you're going to make decisions of, Do you want to cover this over this? Do you want to continue this over that? We're contractors. We don't... There are some channels, if you work for a bigger channel, you may be an employee where, okay, you're doing this night, and that's what this race is. This is what you're doing. If you don't want to do it, we'll find a new employee. Us, we're contractors, essentially, so we take our work. We choose our work. So this is a business. I pay taxes on this. So, yes, it's not something that I'm going to do for free, nor do I feel like I should have to.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, obviously you've got some of the people that do it for hobbies, and that's a whole different story. Those are, you know, the people that don't mind doing it for that cheap. But us, established as a business, I feel that we have really good quality for what we put out, the content that we put out, and I feel like that we charge appropriately for, you know, for our stuff. So, very, very good point of conversation there, Corey.
But, and this is something to, another topic on this is, well, we're a small channel. I mean, we're not small. I mean, we didn't just start yesterday, but we are a relatively new channel, obviously. I mean, we're not rocking 10,000 subscribers nearly like RaceBot, 7,000 like LSR, and I know GSRC is up there, and V8's online. How is it what is your mindset, Brandon, as the one who started this, of obviously we want to get people as many views as they can, as we can. We want to see our views being out there. We want to see that we're being watched, but we also want to know that the people that we're covering are getting their ample coverage for the money that they're getting. But it is a tight market out there. I mean, you know a lot of people. There's a lot of channels out there. Do you almost feel like broadcast? I mean, this is not to degrade broadcasting, but do you almost feel like there might be too much of us out there now?
I don't think there's too much. You know, everybody can try it. Not everybody can do it successfully. There's only a few set aside that have been able to do it successfully and consistently. And without any pauses, for that matter. Without having to shut down for a while. Even a lot of these bigger channels had to do content on the side to get to the amount of followers that they have now. And, you know, a lot of those followers may not still watch. So, I wouldn't say that there's too many of us, but there is only a select group that can, you know, make it to the top. Yeah,
we have... I mean, we're trying to ultimately... I mean, we share a race. Who do we share it to? We share it to sim racers. We want... Who watches broadcasts? The majority of people who watch broadcasts are, to be honest, the people in the league or friends of those. But we're trying to get further than that, especially with the big channels. They're trying to get to the generic market of you're on YouTube looking for gaming streams, and oh, what's this? Is this NASCAR? What is this that I'm? Oh, that's pretty cool. This is a game. How do I get it? Like, that's the kind of people that we're trying to get, not necessarily just us as a small channel, but I've talked to some of the larger channels about how they feel about their content, their views, and they're like, it's almost, they say it's kind of frustrating. We're at a wall. We need to expand sim racing. So we need more content out there, more broadcast out there, more streamers out there, but at the same time, if the sim racing community is not growing fast enough, we're almost kind of oversaturating the market in a way, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is a lot of people who do this for a hobby.
And again, I want to open this up, right? Not to just broadcast, but even just like, you know, the Matt Malones and the Jimmy Broadbents, the Empty Box, like stuff like...
There is a lot of people out there, and it's, you know, it's not wrong to have a ton of people focusing on the same content. But as you said, Corey, with a really good point, I think it gets to a point that when those people start to gain almost more followers than what there is in the sim racing community, it gets tough. It really does get tough.
Yeah, it's almost like you feel like you hit a wall. It's like, I know I'm still putting the same time in, if not more time in, and am I getting what I really want to get out of this? Am I doing for the people that I want to do for? Am I getting, is all of this worth it? That's ultimately what you ask for, and we say yes. Otherwise, if we said it wasn't worth it, then
we wouldn't be doing this.
Exactly. So that kind of brings up where we talked about getting generic gamers. We'll kind of wrap this up. We're hitting about a half hour, but I've probably kept this about 45 minutes tops. About sim racing versus casual racing, because it's a progression. Obviously, I got some time on you and Brandon, age and experience on sim racing. I started when I was 10 years old. Gran Turismo 1, PS1. I bought every single NASCAR game. NASCAR 98, 99, 2000, all the way up till probably like 2008, I think I stopped buying them. I got NASCAR 1999 on PC on Windows 98, which was, if that doesn't age me, I don't know what does. And then NASCAR 2003, that's with a big one. I went from racing NASCAR 2003 on a joystick, and I'm like, well, I'm on a joystick and I'm actually winning races, so I got to do something big. Went out to Best Buy, got whatever wheel they had in stock, raced that till it died, bought a G25. Hey, look at this iRacing thing. Oh my god! And I won't get into that whole thing, but ultimately I started off as a PlayStation person to a person sitting in about a expensive sim racing rig, and I won't watch just in case my wife watches this later. I won't tell how much it cost, but a very expensive sim racing setup. So how do we do that, Brandon? How do we get Mr. I'm going to buy Forza 7 for $60 and drive backwards online to that kind of person to I'm going to get you invested in seriously into iRacing, and for that matter, into R Factor 2, into Project Cars, into Assetto Corsa?
There has to be enough people who want to drive but don't have the money to drive in the real world. A lot of people don't know about this, and it'll come with time. I think we've kind of stalled out right now. It'll be a younger generation type thing. My generation, you know, even I think most of them cats out around, you know, around Corey's age, you know, late 20s, early 30s, somewhere around there. You know, and then me being around 18, we're starting to come up. A lot of us, you know, starting to get out in the real world. We had the money to do this. Obviously, we don't have the money to get out into a real car. You know, we need to convince people that this can be just as fun. You know, obviously, maybe the adrenaline's not there. For some people, it really is. Maybe if you're using VR, you know, that's awesome. And that's a great way. I think that needs to be advertised more. It's all about convincing people that this is worth it. It's not as expensive as racing in real life, but you still get the same joy.
Yeah, exactly. And there's people... Obviously, I'm not going to ever drive a race car. I live in Massachusetts. I have a 1/3 mile track, about a half hour from me, maybe 45 minutes. That's about it. I have to go to Connecticut. I have to go plenty of other places far away to get racing. So, and I don't have I don't come from an Austin Dillon and Ty Dillon family. I'm not gonna get handed, hey, here's a brand new race car, go have fun.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is my fix. This is me taking this $500 steering wheel and $300 set of pedals and my VR. This is me racing. This is me having fun. I do a 3-hour race, I'm sweating afterwards. I'll throw my headset off in shame when I screw up and I choke at the end, which happens all the time. And this is what I love. And I love the feeling. It's as close as I'm going to get until I get to do a Richard Petty driving school or something like that. But we have the person who's on Forza, and people have the people who are in Gran Turismo. And I know people have said, well, going back to what we said earlier, a $60 game versus $12, $12, $100, $20, blah, blah, blah. How do we convince them to get a wheel, to get this, and to get even into the other sims before they even get into iRacing?
You really have to advertise it like it's, you know, a full-on driving experience. And, you know, I will never get into a race car and race a full season. That's That won't happen. I don't have the funds. I don't, you know, I'm 18 years old. I'm broke. But you know, I get paid to be at the racetracks right now. I'm an official at a few of the dirt tracks around here. It's something that I love to do. I like being up close. But when I want to drive, I come on and I come onto iRacing. I'll even just get on and turn test laps. I do that all the time. And it's a fun experience. And I can imagine myself being in a race car. Now, I don't have that expensive of a setup either. And that's another thing that we have to convince people, Corey, is you don't have to spend hundreds upon hundreds of dollars on a setup to the point where it costs just as much as a real race car.
Yeah, you could go and get a $99 wheel at Walmart. You can clamp it to your dining room table, your coffee table. Put your pedals under the seat. You can buy a wheel stand. They're $100. But even like I said, you could just clamp your wheel to your desk, put your pedals down there, and race. And when you're done, stash it off in your closet. You could do it for cheap. And yeah, you won't, maybe not, you may have the computer right now. It might not run at 1080p with everything on, but it might run at 1080p with everything on low, or 720 with everything on high. It's still, you're still getting the experience. I mean, I know people, there's one guy, I won't say his name, but I know him from a friend, oh, hey, I know you have an extra wheel. I have my buddy trying to get into racing. So I'm like, oh, sure, just pay for shipping. I'll send you my old wheel. I don't need it. It works. It'll get you going. And what has he done since then? He went from one monitor, already upgraded his computer, and bought 2 more monitors, all in 3 months, because once he got the itch, he got the itch.
Yeah, and again, we just gotta convince people to try it. Eventually they'll like it, and the racing bug bites.
And then they have to realize that sim racing, I mean, I know Gran Turismo, I don't have a PS4 anymore, but Gran Turismo Sport, they've taken a lot of steps to kind of copycat iRacing, if you will, and try to do a little makeshift safety rating and matchmaking to get you in the proper splits, XYZ. They have to realize that you're not going to use the cars as a bumper here. It's not going to work. I mean, we know rookie legends, rookie street stocks. I mean, we know how that is. Luckily, I haven't done it in 10 years, but we know how that is. But once you get into the real racing, if you're 0.3 of a second behind someone entering a hairpin, you're not supposed to dive it in there and just use them as a brake and get the win. I mean, do we see it? Yeah. Are we supposed to? No. So you have to, like, take it as a grain of salt. Like you said, this is driving a race car. Would you do this in the real world? If you're not going to do it in the real world, then you're not going to do it here. And you have to kind of convince yourself on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And very good, once again, point of conversation there, Corey.
And there was one more topic I wanted to bring up, and I'm hoping that Brandon has it listed somewhere, because for some reason I forgot what it was.
Unfortunately for you, I do not.
Oh, real world racing. Actually, in case there's anybody out there, we'll open the chat. We'll open the chat world up. There's a couple people watching. There were more people watching before till I forgot how to stream a session, apparently. But obviously, this is the racer's mind. So racing is not necessarily sim world. So real world. So we saw. And it's kind of going, I'll kind of piggyback off the whole sim racing discussion of it, where sim racing is a niche. It's something that we're trying to grow. And also NASCAR, it's kind of almost on the other side of that. Like NASCAR right now, when it was growing, it was a redneck, all about, you know, moonshine stuff. And then it slowly kind of got more mainstream. You had Dale Earnhardt still from the South, and Petty, Waltrip all from the South making it happen. But then obviously the Jeff Gordon boom in the 90s, early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, NASCAR was huge. We went from putting 50,000 people in a track to 150,000. Daytona 500 pushing 200,000. Brickyard 400, 300,000. What are we at now? I mean, do we need a screenshot of the Brickyard 400 attendance? I mean,
I think it's time for a change, not necessarily in marketing. I think the marketing right now is good. They're aiming towards the upcoming generations, but they're not losing track of the folks that made them rise up to the level where they are now. I think it's time to change tracks around. And I know they can't do that till, what is it, 2020?
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
But do you feel that racing as a whole, motorsports, even Formula One, IndyCar, random other forms of motorsport that I can't think of now, is racing at a good point? Is racing gonna thrive with the new generation? Obviously you're young, but other people your age, people who are 12, 13, is racing gonna make it through this next generation?
Absolutely. You look at local racing, kids, teenagers at the track every week after week, because it's not that expensive to get in, it's not that expensive to watch. Anybody would get bored sitting there watching NASCAR on a TV. I find myself getting bored watching NASCAR on the TV. I find myself getting bored watching a bunch of motorsports top levels on the TV, because you can't be there, you can't feel the excitement. And you know, sure, certain types of racing, it can be really exciting. You know, certain tracks can be really exciting. I think, for one, the top levels of racing needs to add more of those types of the tracks that are exciting every week. Local racing is not that expensive. They can, you know, make it cheap, and it brings action every week. People like to go because they like to hang out with their friends. They like to be there every week. They like the adrenaline that it brings. They like everything about it. They like the sights, the smells, everything. If the top levels of motorsports would stop making everything so expensive, and I know they can, because they're profiting a ton, and I mean a ton, from this. You look at NASCAR, yeah, they have a lot to pay for. They don't have to pay for a lot of the things that they do. They weren't paying for a lot of the things that they do now through, you know, the early 2000s, the late 90s, the early 2000s. They started adding this stuff on. Now they're charging people way more money to get into these races, and there's not that many people going anymore. Yeah,
I mean, I'm going to take a lot of tracks, for example. They can hide their flaws at a lot of tracks. They can hide their flaws at Talladega. What do? They tear down grandstands. Daytona, they spent $400 million. But what was that whole project about? They will never admit it. That whole project was about, we're going to lower the attendance, lower the capacity. Yeah, we're going to make it look fancy and make it, but ultimately we're going to put less people here because we know we can't sell out what we did back in 1999. Yeah, but let's look at a track where they can't hide without a complete redemolition of the track. Bristol Motor Speedway. Bristol Motor Speedway, you know, I didn't mean to wreck him, I meant to rattle his cage. I mean, the Dale Earnhardt days, the late 90s, the early 2000s, the bump and run, Jeff Gordon, Rusty Wallace, countless battles. Bristol was the best track. That was local racing on a big scale.
And they honestly, they added the progressive banking to that track. They kind of ruined it. And they're trying their best with the PJ1 track bite, you know, on the bottom groove, everything else. It does work. And I'll be honest, I was at the Bristol race, I think it was last year. Every seat in the house is packed. You know, they are bringing it back. Again, all these renovations that the tracks do not have to make is just raising the price higher and higher,
why?
making it for folks like us not to be able to afford it.
Let's go back to where we just raced last week. Why is Phoenix flipping the track around? What is that good? Okay, they're going to demolish everything. They're going to put brand new suites, brand new stands, XYZ, blah, 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 blah. Why are you spending all of that money to flip the goddamn back straightaway with the front straightaway? Because what, the dog leg's wide open, so they think turn one's going to be better because the dog leg's open? Is that what it is?
It comes to a point where they listen to the fans too much. The fans said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if the start-finish line was back here instead of over there? Because that looks like a back stretch, this looks like a front stretch. You know, why don't they do this? Why don't they do that? It comes to a point where you got to kind of tune everything out. You're doing things right. Phoenix, there was... You know, Phoenix has had some really, really good racing. Why are you going to ruin that? And the fans are not always right. You know, as much as people hate to admit it, yeah, there are times where you don't want to listen to the fans' choice because everything is right the way it is now.
Yeah, like, I'm one that there was nothing wrong with Phoenix before. Literally, throw a new coat of pavement on it before, keep the grass in the dogleg, keep the banking the same. Phoenix put on a really good, and it's just now, I'll admit, it's just now getting there, 5-6 years after the repave, but again, you just said, it's wasted money. It's like, I'm spending $60 at Loudon, that's my closest track, it's the only track I can go to within reason. I'm spending $60 to sit row 1 in turn 3.
Yeah, and that's not where you want to be at all.
And then I go with my wife, that's $120. I have a 7-year-old, she's into racing, I wonder why. So that's another $60. I'm gonna take my son in a couple of years. So I'm looking at $240 for tickets, for the worst tickets in the house. And then I gotta spend all the concessions. So I'm looking at almost $300 for a night out, or an afternoon out. And then that's not to say we didn't buy a single t-shirt. We didn't buy a hat, we didn't buy any souvenirs, and that's $30 for a t-shirt, times 3. Is the average family of 4 gonna wanna spend $500 to go out to a race?
Absolutely not, and for some people it's the one time a year where they can go out and see a race live, because they're not fortunate enough like us, like where you've got one track near you. Us in the upstate New York, Pennsylvania region, we've got tons of tracks. Everywhere we go, every half mile up the road, we've got another track. So, we're fortunate around here. If you don't want to spend all the money to go to a NASCAR race every year, or multiple times a year, go to the dirt track where you can spend $40 for a family to get in the gate, plus another $10 on food, and you're set.
Yeah, and for us as fans, I've lost the reason that I want to go to Loudon. I mean, and Brandon, you said you've gone there, who wants to go to Loudon in the middle of July and sit on a metal bleacher in the screaming sun?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
you're paying all that money to sit there and sweat the whole time and watch, race cars go around the track. And to be honest with you, it's not that good of a race.
Well, they've talked for years about putting lights there, and apparently they have an agreement to put lights up, but the TV guys don't want to do it because there's already too many night races in July. I wonder why, because it's July.
Yeah.
But I've lost the only reason I have to go to Loudon, because I'm not going to sit there. I saw 8 people get taken out because of heat exhaustion last time I was there. I actually paid for the best seats I've ever had at Loudon. I sat in turn 4, highest row. I think it was like row 65 or whatever it was.
Yep.
And
That's about where I was.
And I was up there. I had the best view in the house. But what does that mean? I'm that much closer to the sun. There's no breeze. Like, that's not fan experience. Yeah, can Loudon affect that? No. I mean, NASCAR kind of lets the tracks decide the schedule. NASCAR is a sanctioning body. The tracks are lucky to have a date. Why do the tracks get the ultimate decision on what does what? Otherwise, we'd still have North Wilkes-Barre. Otherwise, we'd still have Rockingham. We are digressing here.
Yeah.
But while we wrap up, I'll get you a little more point from you, Brandon. While we do wrap this up, if anybody does have anything they want us to decide on or just talk about for a brief moment, just type it in real quickly. And after Brandon's point, if we don't have anything, we'll probably call this a night. But just continue your point, Brandon.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this going back to another thing, we need some more diverse tracks, going back to the same style as some of the tracks that I just shut down, Rockingham, North Wilkesboro, all those. And obviously they weren't really in my generation with NASCAR, but if they open those up, they make things a lot cheaper than what they are now. Could bring attendance back up. They could be making a lot more money than what they are now instead of trying to, counter that.
It was one day we were talking to our Cody Tabor, who is one of the leagues that we cover here, league owner. And we looked at, just for shits and giggles, sorry, I swore. We looked at a Truck Series schedule from 1999. And actually, I'm going to do that really quickly. Let me just work on the power of Google right here. Craftsman Truck Series, which sounds a lot better than Camping World, just random note. But we're going to look at the schedule from the 1999 Craftsman Truck Series schedule. And Brandon, if you can, let's compare this a little bit to the schedule from the 2018 Camping World Truck Series schedule, as I see you glancing down at your phone.
I'm researching with you.
Okay, you are. So race 1 is Homestead, Mutual Track.
Right.
Phoenix, Mutual Track. Evergreen, do you even know what the hell that is? It's a local short track, I want to say in Washington State. Mesa Marin, short track. Martinsville, short track, mutual track, but it's still a short track. We have Memphis Motorsports Park, short track. Pikes Peak, 1 mile. I-70. Anyone know what that is? It's in Missouri, I believe. I think it was. Yep. Short track. Bristol, short track. Do you notice a theme here that I'm kind of going at right now?
And I really like that theme.
Okay. Fort Worth, Texas. Okay, we've gone to 1.5 miles. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
2.
I mean,
Portland. We're at a road.
in case you guys don't know the trending theme of that schedule, which I really like because I love short tracks, but it's short tracks.
Yeah.
We need more short tracks.
Let's carry on quickly. We have Portland, road course, and Oregon. Actually, IndyCar is going there this year, as a matter of fact. It's a good track. Watkins Glen, Milwaukee, Nashville. This is Nashville short track, by the way. Nashville Fairgrounds. Nazareth, defunct track. Was a really fun track, really good track, but no one showed up for it. Michigan, okay, big track, but moral of the story, there was only about 5 tracks on that schedule over 2 miles.
Yeah.
What is, if you have it in front of you, how many tracks on that schedule are less than a mile? Well, a mile or less?
A lot.
Yeah, so, no, that are less than 1.5 miles.
On the current schedule?
Yes.
Oh, well, there's not a lot on the current one.
Yeah, because it's pretty much triple headers almost everywhere. I mean, what dates on the truck schedule are actually like unique standalone dates? I think there's one at Texas, but that doesn't count. You're still at Texas. It's like, and Harvick and Stewart, they are huge on, and there was somebody else that Harvick was talking to. NASCAR needs to get back to grassroots racing. NASCAR needs to get back. Is it better? Indianapolis, why are we not at IRP?
Yeah, especially for the trucks. Some lower series like trucks or Xfinity.
Yeah, the trucks don't go there at all anymore, but why is Xfinity at bleeping Indianapolis Motor Speedway? No one shows up. You're 20,000, and this goes back to my other point I was just going to get at. 20,000.
They're making teams spend more money on the cars to adapt to the racing, so that way there's closer racing. We don't need that. That's why we're losing drivers in NASCAR as well. 20,000
seats in a 250,000 seat stadium.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Would you rather go to a hole-in-the-wall track in Missouri and sell out 25,000 seats at a 25,000 seat stadium, track, whatever, or would you rather go to Texas Motor Speedway and put 15,000 fans in when there's 140,000 seats?
Apparently, I'd rather sell out a small track. I mean,
like,
put on a better show.
Look at Eldora. Eldora is obviously, besides like Knoxville, Williams, it's obviously one of the bigger tier dirt tracks. Almost everyone knows of it, but they sell out that track. Everyone looks forward to the Mud Summer Classic, or whatever the heck they call it these days with sponsorship. Everyone looks forward to it. Why? Is Tony Stewart going to expand it? Yeah, he might throw a couple extra seats in there, but yeah, and that's what Homestead does too. If you keep demand at a small track, we're going to have 50,000 seats. This is what it is. If you want to go, prices are going to go up because demand goes up. That's what Bristol did for years. That's what obviously like basketball, football do. You can't really expand a fixed size arena. You have to make demand. So if you keep growing when you have demand, you keep growing and expanding, you're going to get to a point where we are now where there's no one showing up, and look how bad it looks. You can't even get your title sponsors to re-sign anymore. Winston was in NASCAR for 20 years. 20, 30 years, and now Monster doesn't even want to sign for year 3.
I think the problem is the demand goes up, the price goes up, demand goes down, the prices haven't gone down.
Exactly, Brandon. That was a very good point to that. But we are pushing about an hour right now. I haven't seen anything in chat of any topics to discuss. Looks like a couple people are going on about what we're talking about, which is good. Do want to apologize for the failed beginning at this stream. I have no idea why it didn't work, but it didn't work. We kind of lost some of our audience, but obviously we'll archive this. We'll try to spread the word. If you do like what we did, give us some topics. We'll do it every week. I mean, we can kind of make it a little in-between broadcasts. We can bring in some of our broadcasts and maybe give a little recap on those. So I had fun.
Try to get a fancy green screen like Corey.
Yeah, $25 was kind of nice. But again, Brandon, I will, thanks for coming on. Obviously, we will see you guys tomorrow night for, I don't know if it's you or Evan in the booth with me, but someone will be in the booth tomorrow night, Tuesday, for American Sim Racing Series at, I will let you know when I find out, but they are tomorrow night. Every Tuesday night we have Rivalry Racing on Thursdays, and we will be bringing you the Hardline Racing League, I believe in 2 weeks they will be coming back, and we have one open night that we are doing at the moment, so PTR TV is a little bit light right now, but we're going to be picking it back up. So any final words, Brandon?
No, just thanks for everybody tuning into episode 1 of The Racer's Mind, and well, we're happy to be here.
All right, have a great night, everyone, and we will catch you next time.
Have a great night. Catch you next time.